Okay, how do we use RSS or Real Simple Syndication as instructors? How is it practical? Say, for example, like this term, I'm teaching a class in comparative criminal justice. I want to keep up with stories about crime in China because China is emerging as the major competitor in the world to the United States, and we need to look at their criminal justice system. I do a Google search. I'm using Chrome, which I consider to be by far the best browser on the internet. All I have to do in the URL bar, where you normally click an address, is to put in crime China. And of course, I'm going to get a massive amount of Google results. I'm not really interested in all of these results. I want to know what's currently going on. So I'm going to click News. And this brings up a bunch of news stories about crime in China. Chinese man who bragged of privilege gets 6 years. You can see I've actually already looked at that. Mexican smugglers press China on human rights, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I want to be constantly updated as new stories appear about China on the web. So I click at the bottom, and you'll see this on almost every single website or blog you go to. It says RSS. I click on this, and what happens? I see feed for crime and China, Google News. I can subscribe in Google Reader. There's a little window. I can do it in iGoogle, which is put it on my Google page, blog lines, Yahoo. I click on Manage. I can add other subscriptions there. But I'm really not interested in that. So I'm coming back, and I'm going to click subscribe in Google Reader. That will automatically launch my Google Reader. It'll tell me that I'm not subscribed yet. If you look down on the left, you'll see various folders where I organize my feeds. As you see, I have 134 feeds which I subscribe to. You see a button also where I can just add a subscription if I want to. And I just copy the address of it there. But this is simple. I just click on it. Bingo. And what do you see down here? Crime and China. Okay, and you see various stories here. The ones I've already read are not red, are in blue. As you slip down, you see them. Now, the first thing I would do is stick it into a folder. So I'm going to drag it and put it into my criminal justice and human rights folder. I closed it. Now I have these stories. If I want to read it, I click on it. Bingo. I'm taken to the website already. I don't have to go looking for the stories. They will appear in Google Reader. Now, if I'm busy, which most of us are, and I don't want to read the story right now, but I'm interested in it, I can leave it in Google Reader and go back to it, or which I prefer to do, is go to the print screen, because I don't like a lot of graphics and pictures when I'm reading. And I can click my Shareaholic button, which is a button, an extension on Google Chrome, and send it to Instapaper. And that's saved for me to read later. Then I can go on doing what I want to do. But later on, if I want to go back and read it, I can double click on my Instapaper button, and there you will. You'll see China 1 HTML. And I can click here to see the original story, or I can click here and see the story in a very simplified format, and it gives the whole story. Now, if I were to go back and click here, it would give the original story the way it was listed. This is a very useful way of looking at information. If I go back to the Instapaper, it archives. In an archive, you create folders. You can put information in it. I have a story I put in some time ago about court upholds inmate voting ban. For those of you who are criminal justice professors, you can store stuff in here. This information is from the San Francisco Gate back on October 8th. It's still sitting in my save folder because I think I might need that story later. Now, for example, if I wanted to keep this story, I normally wouldn't bother with the pictures. I would go to the print screen, and I want to keep it for later because I think I might be interested in using it for my class. I'll copy the URL. I'll go over here, and then I will go to my PDF software, click on Adobe Acrobat. This is not Adobe Reader. This is the full program, which I highly recommend that you get this or one of the other equivalents. On the Windows platform, there's one called Foxit. On the Mac program, there's one PDF Pen. What I like to do is create a web page from the file. Why do I do that? Because if there are links in it, I can click on it. This one actually won't have any links because I went to the print page. But as you see, it's loading and creating a web page out of that text we looked at. And if you go back to Google Reader now, you'll see that in these folders, I have BBC. I have stories on BBC from front page. China, the Chinese People's Daily, I subscribe to it. Dome is a Korean blog, which I blog on in Korea. I'm a big fan of the New York Times. I subscribe to Bob Herbert's Story, who's a columnist, to the Homepage, to the New York Region, to the Opinion, to Paul Krugman's, to Thomas Friedman. I'm a big Thomas Friedman and Paul Krugman fan. Technology, which everybody knows I love. I subscribe to many technology blogs, as you can see, but it's good to organize them. I actually don't particularly like the interface of Google Reader. I like aesthetics. I like things beautiful. This tends to me to be ugly. So I also use other programs that synchronize with Google Reader. One of them I use is called Socialite, which will have all of my Google Reader feeds. You see this symbol, RSS, this is Google Reads, and it will synchronize. Now, crime in China may not be here yet because it hasn't updated. But when it updates, it will show them. And just like with the Google Reader, it has the same folders. The highlighted ones are ones that I haven't read. You see the old ones I've read. And when you finish reading it, you just click Mark as Read. FeedDemon is the most common client for doing this on the on Windows, and a program made by the same company, and that company is NewsGator, makes one called NetNewsWire for the Mac. And this is NetNewsWire, and right now you see it's synchronizing automatically with Google Reader. And if you look here, where's my criminal justice folder? Let's see if crime in China is there already yet. It's synchronizing now. I don't see crime in China yet, but I can synchronize it and it will happen. Well, crime in China, it just synchronized. There are my stories. And you see the same stories I saw before. But what you don't see is the story I already read, because it saw that I had read it on Google Reader itself. So it knows that it's read. Once it knows it's read, it disappears. If I want to access it, I can go to Google Reader and access it. But it knows that I've already read it. And from here, I can do a number of things. I can send it to Instapaper. Say, I want a crime in China. Phil Clark marketing names Clark as safest tourist destination in the Philippines. That's not related. China national sentenced 97 months to prison. The same thing. I can click on it. There's the story from Westmoreland Times. Or I can go back to NewsGator, and with an icon here, I can send it directly to Instapaper. And that's one of the things that I really like about this particular program. Now, if I refresh into Instapaper, it should be there. I'm out on the main page. So I need to go back to the main page. I'm still in the folder. Ah, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to go to my main page. There it is. China national sentenced to 97 months. If you notice this, it eliminates all of the distractions on the page when you're reading it. So it's so much easier. And I have another extension that makes it even prettier called Readability, which turns it into a book. And on this particular one, I can change the color. I can make it, I can see the reload page. I can print it nice and simple. And I can even go into the settings and change the color to make it a little darker. And it has the original link. All of these tools make it easier to save and access information. Google Reader updates 24/7. It tells you the time, the story. This story was updated 9 minutes ago. So it's a wonderful tool. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask me. But I think that you can see how useful RSS feeds. You can search for anything that you want, any topic, and it will constantly update. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this short video.